Welcome back to another interview with artists that'll be on the studio tour June 1 and June 2 of this year, this summer. With us today is Craig Britton. Craig, hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Glad to be here.
And Brittany Whitaker.
Hello.
You guys are a duo,
We are.
a team. So you are going to be, this is going to be your third studio tour.
It is, yes. The past few years we've been at Mary Sly's, and this year we'll be at Glenn Hendricks.
And what do you do?
Well,
What is your art?
a lot of things, I guess, but primarily pottery. Craig throws most of the forms, and I glaze them.
So you use a wheel, right? And to describe the process, I think most people are familiar, but and where do you do this work, by the way?
So we do a good amount of our work at the Alchemy Art Center. And then in the summer times, we're actually able to work in the barn in which we'll be on this tour. And so just taking raw materials like clay and making them into either usable functional wares or non-functional pieces, which would be more decorative things.
Have you always been a potter?
I have not. I've done many things in my life, lots of odd jobs, from like painter to, just anything under the sun. So
How did this get started?
it was more of a passion thing for me, something that I've always wanted to do. And then when I finally did get my hands in some clay, it was really spoke to me, something that was more than just, an odd job. Yeah.
How did you know you wanted to do it all this time before you did it?
Ooh, that's a good question. It was just always something that I wanted to try. I think the process of making something out of just a lump of clay, it has a lot of draw to a lot of people. Having taught pottery to a lot of beginners, I can see that in a lot of individuals who come. There is something that draws them to the wheel and draws them to
very
that
tactile.
process. Yes, exactly.
What was that movie where they started to get it on with the potter wheel?
Ghost.
Right. Sorry about that.
No?
You know exactly what I'm talking
because
about.
everybody
Right?
brings it up for your class.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like fun.
Oh, it is a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, especially when you're first learning. But I feel that by the end of the class, most people are at least able to make some things, and it's a lot of fun in the process.
That whole turning, at a high speed, it's kind of like lathe work. It's kind of amazing. Just the slightest change, it changes the shape right away, and it's instantly visible. So I like watching lathe stuff too. It's just like where they put that blade down and it just instantly, radically changes. So I get some of that too, but also just getting your hands all dirty.
It's a fun process.
Kind of a childlike, brings out the child in you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, hopefully. So, and you're an artist as well.
I am. Yeah, it's taken a while to consider myself.
Did you know
a
you were an
real
artist? When did you decide you were an artist?
I guess just recently, since we've started making work together, I feel like I've always painted and drawn growing up, always kind of tinkered in a lot of different mediums, but kind of just thought of it as a hobby. I think going into an architecture school was kind of my way of trying to rationalize it a little bit more, where I think I really wish I had gone to just a art school specifically, but wanted that practical side of it. And yeah, I guess just in the last few years, as we started to sell our work, a little bit more of a light bulb of like, oh, I could do this. It's been really rewarding.
It's a little easier to call yourself a serious artist when you're selling.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
There are people who call themselves artists who haven't sold anything.
Right.
Okay. And you participate in the finishing of his pottery, but then you also do glass.
Yeah, we first came to the island kind of with an opportunity to play around in a glass studio, a fused glass studio. And so I still play around with glass and make a bunch of jewelry. Craig used to make some larger, intricate fused glass bowls. And then we kind of fell into pottery, and I feel like they're very opposite.
Very different.
Yeah, very different.
So explain for our audience what fused glass is compared to blown glass.
Fused glass, basically, what we're doing with fused glass anyway, is just cold working, meaning that we're cutting and scoring and working with the glass just at room temperature, not literally cold, but and the kiln kind of does all the magic and fuses everything together.
So does it all have to be laid down in a certain way, and then you don't shake it? You get
Yeah,
it in?
exactly. It can be layered, it can be stacked. Craig does much more intricate glass work than I do, kind of more
But
abstract.
there's no way to like wire it together or anything, so it's all gravity, held in gravity, and then goes into the kiln and becomes one?
In the way that we're using it, yeah. Sometimes people will use molds and kind of create barriers for the glass if they're trying to get more three-dimensional work.
But you're not doing that.
No, it's pretty flat. Once it all melts, as spreads as far as it's going to spread.
So what kinds of items are you making?
I've really just stuck to jewelry. I just really like creating a big plate of a bunch of different types of glass, kind of overlapping. I'm mostly using dichroic glass, which reflects two different colors depending on the angle.
Okay.
And then I'm cutting smaller pieces of jewelry out of this larger plate. So I really like making this large abstract piece and then kind of seeking out those little moments in that plate that can be their own mini version of that.
Did you draw as a kid?
I did, yeah. I was always drawing and painting, mostly flowers, which you'll see is a theme, I guess, that comes back into pottery.
But you never thought of yourself as an artist until,
Not really, no. It's just kind of...
like everybody draws, right?
I thought so. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that maybe kids didn't spend as much time drawing and painting by themselves as I did. But
Well, we're going to come back and look at some of your samples of your great work, both of you, in a minute. But let's talk about the life that you've led that brought you to San Juan Island. I don't know how far back we're going to go. Where did you meet? How long have you guys known each other?
I guess we met almost 10 years ago. Ironically, most of the friends that I made when I was living in Boston happened to be people he grew up with. And so kind of through a mutual friend had met. And then about 7.5 years ago, we decided to go on the road for a road trip that ended up being a few years of living in a small space, which is kind of where the name of our business, Living Large Small, comes from.
Living large, small. So a kind of minimalism.
Definitely, yeah. I
Don't like waste.
Not at all. No, I was the kid that would carefully unwrap their Christmas present, not to waste the wrapping paper. That's how deep it goes for me. But always very conscious of your impact and consumption.
So, why did you? What was the drive? No pun intended. What was the drive to go on the road? What was the pull there? You just want to kind of take a break from regular city living, or what?
Yeah, yeah,
I think so.
What was that moment where you decided we're going to go put everything we have in a truck and drive around the country?
I feel like it was something that both of us individually had always, I think, kind of dreamed about doing. And then we're just finding ourselves at a point where we're not really knowing where the next place that we wanted to be was. And so we thought it would be a good way to get a taste of a lot of different places. And then I think just living on the road opens up so many doors, but also closes a lot of them. So by the time we were really ready to settle down somewhere, I feel like San Juan was one of those places that just kept circling back on our mind. We had first visited it very early in that road trip. Craig has an uncle that lives here. So it was also a nice perk of being here, of having that family connection here.
So once you visited here, then everything got compared to
Yes.
San Juan Island after that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we won.
Yes, I would say so.
When you first started that long trip, that very, I guess, coming out of the east, is that scary to just say, okay, we've cut all ties at the steering wheel. Where the hell are we going? Did you have much of a plan? Or did you try
No,
to
I
not?
wish
Did you
I
try
could
not to have a
say-
plan?
I don't know that either of those are intentional. We didn't have much of a plan. I think a ballpark of kind of different areas and things that we wanted to do, but also knew we didn't want it to be too structured. I think one of the biggest things I've gotten out of solo travel specifically is just the spontaneity of it, and just not having a set idea of where you're going to end up that day or that week. It's definitely a spectrum. You can have a loose plan of, by this date, I have to be back in Maine for a friend's wedding. But other than that, I think that was our biggest.
Did you try to leave that open a lot of days? Like, let's decide tonight where we're going to go tomorrow, or let's decide tomorrow where we're going to go tomorrow?
I was very much in the moment.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm like deciding how far will we make it today, or
I mean, I'm fascinated. It probably feels like I'm putting under a microscope, but I think you did what a lot of people are really intrigued and never actually do, and you actually did it, and it's fascinating. It'd be liberating. I mean, you have to be able to live in the moment. If my
Yes,
dad did this, he would have we will be here at 3:30. He really planned everything out, but you have to almost go out of your way to be that intentional and to not make those. So you didn't have on this day we have to be in Phoenix or something. It's like
No, I
we'll
mean,
get there when we get there, if we get there.
Right, yeah. Most of our plan was really sticking to national forests and BLM land, so a lot of dispersed and free camping. So you get pretty remote if you stick to those parameters. So a lot of times we would find ourselves on, national forest roads deep in who knows where that would find a little pocket that we want to explore more, and then what we thought would be one night stay ends up being 3 days, or really just kind of following our interest in the intrigue of it all.
So I don't suppose that you were eating a whole bunch of junk from Costco. How do you eat on the road like that in a minimalist? Do you look for co-ops in the different towns that you pass through? How did you eat?
We did. I feel like there's different parts of the country that's not possible.
No,
There's a
right.
lot of food deserts.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was important to us, I guess, was being able to have access to fresh food. And so we did build our van kind of around that idea of having just enough solar to run a very decent sized refrigerator. So that opened up basically a lot of possibilities of being able to be very remote for at least a week.
So you did stock up, but
Yep.
not on Costco.
No,
Junk.
no.
there are some places in the
yeah.
country where you do not have the choice.
Yeah.
You're miles away from the closest grocery store, so you're not always able to choose.
I'm not trashing Costco. we love you, Costco, but yeah,
Yeah.
you don't seem like you'd be major Costco customers if you had the choice.
No, I
I don't think we even have a Costco card.
knew I've never
Okay,
been to
that says it all.
one once as a kid.
Well, here's some pictures of the travels before we move on. Here in your van. What is that van?
The name of our van was Van Morrison.
But it was a Dodge Sprinter.
Well, I like his answer. Van Morrison. Okay. Do you still have Van Morrison?
We do not.
It is still on the island, but we do not own it anymore. We sold it about a year ago.
We said a
A cat and a dog.
cat and a dog.
Yeah.
Yes, we are a traveling team.
And the beard's even longer now.
Yeah, you can see it's grown a bit.
Okay. Next. Wow. That's home. That's something.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I know you said that San Juan won, but the Southwest was definitely a close second.
Beautiful.
A little bit longer there.
The beard.
Well, it looks like a very happy experience that you'll never, ever, ever forget.
No.
How did it change you?
I mean, it also makes you realize, I feel like I was pretty minimalist before, but it just makes you realize that you really don't need much at all. And I think it's kind of, I think it led into wanting to focus on making art and realizing that you can do something that is fulfilling rather than thinking of work as a job. And I think it's been nice to have that experience to kind of back up our choices now.
So the nomadic, minimalistic existence kind of primed you for coming
think
back
so,
and being
yeah.
artists, becoming artists.
Yeah, I mean,
sense.
it's been rewarding to sell our work, but we're by no means, rolling in it yet. It's been a nice experience of knowing that we don't need a lot of things to be happy.
Right.
And really just the experiences in our lives have been so fulfilling that wanting to continue to do something that is equally fulfilling in a different area has been really,
That's really cool.
it's been really great for me. And you, I think.
Right. So let's look at some of the art now. Then you guys can kind of narrate a little bit.
This is our booth at Roach Harbor. We have a seasonal booth there. It's a 10-week season every summer, so this will be our third summer at Roach.
And you're right next to Darlene, right?
We are, yeah.
Okay. We love Darlene.
She's great. This is just an example of some of the jewelry that I've made, the glass jewelry. And again, you can see that I can't help but do product photography outside in nature, and went back on the road once to bring some products out just to get those shots.
You're not serious. You went out to...
We had another wedding to go to a couple of years ago, and all the weddings we've been to in the last 5 years, I feel like, are in New England. And so we did take a bunch of mugs and a bunch of jewelry and would do a lot of hiking with products, which probably looked funny, but got some cool shots. But
This is really beautiful.
Thank you. These are all forms that Craig threw, and I'm doing some hand-painted underglaze work on the outside.
What that real earthy red, is that a glaze?
No, that's actually just the color of the clay that we use. Yeah, we really love the color.
And then that really opaque white overlaying, that's really striking.
Thank you.
I would imagine, now you also sell at the farmer's market when you're not at Roche Harbor.
We do. We double down on Saturdays in the summer, so we're at both places.
I am guessing that you don't have trouble selling this. That is...
No, I mean, a lot of people do really like the red clay, especially. I think people are drawn to.
Yeah, there's a real like softness to the clay, and then more of a sheen to where the glaze is. And it's just a great contrast.
Thank you.
And the red hue is a little bit unusual. Most of the clay does not have that red hue.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's my brain instantly goes to the Southwest, and so it's a nostalgic thing too. I feel like white clay compared to this red, I can't go there.
It's really well executed.
Thank you. This is just another example of when we went out on the road with some of our work. This was several-hour hike into this spot. Do you remember the name of it?
The Golden Cathedral in Southwest Utah.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's just this beautiful reflection pool kind of at the end of a dead-end canyon.
Beautiful. Right?
And it's just another example of some of the floral vases I've done.
You're very good at this.
Oh,
You both are very good.
Thank
At
you.
it. Great shapes, too. Love that thing on the right.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I really like about getting these fun shapes from Craig, I feel like I'm trying to match either the feel or the shape of the vessel with the imagery that I'm putting on it. So that tight neck on that face on the right just made me think of a bittersweet vine, which chokes out a lot of the trees and things it grows on.
So when you finish throwing the pot and finishing the pot, do you have any idea? Do you have like, oh, I'm thinking this, or do you just turn it over to her and you? So are you surprised sometimes at what she's done with it?
Oh yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah. I have no thoughts about the finalizing of the process. I very much so say, I've made these and they're ready whenever you are. And
does she tell you what she's going to do artistically?
I'll see it in the process. I'll see her working, but I very much just let Brittany do her thing because she is that much like I do not have the ability to do that. So letting her true talent shine through, I think is.
So you're really good at half of this, and she's really good at the other half.
I think that's what makes it so.
I think you said you'd have trouble doing what he does.
Oh, I can't.
He just
no,
said
I
he
can't
do.
throw like he can at all.
What a great union you have.
Yeah, we both think we do the fun part, so it works out. But
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Next.
This is just an example of one of the fused glass bowls that Craig has made.
Wow.
I don't know if you want to explain all those different colors.
So each individual color is a separate sheet of glass that has been cut and arranged in the pattern that you see. It's initially fired flat, and then that's what fuses all the pieces together. And I've cut the thickness of the glass to on the appropriate height so that it will not peel away from each other, and they will connect and become one piece. And then after the piece has been fired, it goes back in for a secondary firing, which will slump it to the shape that you see there.
Huh. That is really that looks like it took a long time.
They are a labor of love, as I like to say.
How long would it take to do just that first stage?
It could be days to weeks, depending on how much time I got. I would feel like most would take me a couple weeks of slowly working away at it. And you'll see in the future, I really get into the details and the nitty-gritty of the pieces. I really enjoy that part of the process. So.
Well, I hope you got paid a lot of money for that, because that is a lot of work. That is really beautiful. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would buy just on site. It's like, bang,
Thank you.
sold. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Do you do much of this? Have you moved completely toward the pottery now?
We still do a little bit of glass work whenever I can get the chance, but pottery has definitely taken the main stage.
Do you do anything on this larger format?
No. I can't remember if I was saying this off air or not, but anybody that knows us well can tell exactly what part I have done versus Craig's. Anything that's meticulous or measured or calculated is all Craig. And I'm definitely more abstract. So even in the jewelry, it's...
So this takes more of an engineering mind to do this one? Okay. It's absolutely beautiful. Great lines, too. Okay. Wow.
And this is kind of what Craig was just referencing, kind of the new work he's been getting into, where all of those indentations are made one at a time.
Yep. Gorgeous. Just beautiful. Glaze is nice at the top, too. I like that, almost a metallic.
All the forms are glazed on the inside so that they can be food safe and water soluble.
Yeah. Do you sell online?
We do. We have a website. Again, with our booth in Roach Harbor, most of our sales are now direct because we have this retail presence, but we do have an active website.
So are you guys just creating like fiends all winter so you have stuff to sell in Roach Harbor?
Yep, we squirrel things away in the barn.
And the studio tour, too.
Yes, yeah. That kind of June with the studio tour kind of kicks off the selling season really for us.
Now, do you still create through the summer, or are you just so busy selling everything that you've made that are you still throwing pots?
Very much so, yeah.
Okay.
So after I get home from Roach, you get right back on the wheel, keep working until late into the evening, and then go back and do it all over again. So.
Well, you're not kicking back. Doesn't sound like.
I mean, it's also enjoyable too. So it's it doesn't necessarily feel like you're maybe grinding as hard as you are, but I know for myself anyway, when I'm glazing and painting these flowers, I can kind of just disappear for those few hours. It doesn't, I'm not looking at the clock at all.
Right. Yeah. 5 hours later, it's like, oh,
Like, I should eat something.
I could still do more of this. So I think we all three love Roche Harbor.
Yeah.
great.
It's been really nice.
Such a great vibe. And it's so busy. It goes from,
It is.
it's so dead in the winter.
Yes.
And it's just completely just explodes in June. And there's so much energy every day. And it's just really cool.
It is, yeah. I know that just being outside, although you're there a lot, it's, rains once maybe in the summer. And so you're just sitting outside in beautiful weather. There's beautiful gardens.
Do you ever sneak across the way and get that ice cream?
I do not. Craig does. I can't do the dairy, or I would.
All right. The ice cream's amazing.
And good coffee too.
The coffees are very good, even though they're in Starbucks cups. They're still good stuff.
Yeah. They'll fill our mugs for us. They're very kind.
Okay, that helps. That helps. And time for me to plug the Lime Kiln Cafe, the clam chowder, best clam chowder in the Pacific Northwest that I know of. And I try to get, I can only get to about 3 weeks. So, okay, got to get back. I sometimes can make it 4 weeks without going back. So
Nice.
they take good care of us.
They do.
So thank you so much, Craig and Britt. It's great to get to know you. You've led a fascinating, I hope you stay here for a while.
It's the plan.
Maybe you'll, who knows how long you'll be here, but I'm glad that you're happy here. Looks like you're happy here. You're certainly successful, from what I can tell.
Thank you.
And it sounds like you found a really good occupation, passion. So it's really a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you for coming in. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, well, I think you're number 14 and 15 or something like that. There's 66 artists on the studio tour this year, June 1 and June 2. 66 artists in 23 studios. You will be at Who's at Glenn Hendricks' studio.
Number 23.
As guests. And number 23?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So everybody can just relax when they're done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the final one. So we're all looking forward to it. Studio tour of 2024. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.